Welcome back to another edition of Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast, brought to you in partnership with Primetime Production. Today we have an awesome guest from the University of Denver, the NCAA leading scorer right now in points, Massimo Rizzo. Riz, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, can't thank you enough for coming on. And obviously, you guys are having an unreal year, sitting at ranked at number 5 right now. You're putting up unreal numbers again, just like you have the previous 2 years. You guys sit at 15-5-2 this season. Like I mentioned, ranked number 5. What would you say are the most significant factors in your team success?
Yeah, I mean, coming into this year, we had 10 new freshmen, and Matty Davis is going to be our starting goalie this year. So I think everyone was a little excited. It was definitely going to be a learning process early on for all the new guys, but I think it just speaks to our coaching staff and our depth, and everyone on our team buying into the process and the way we play in Denver. And I think it's shown over the last many years, just the culture and tradition that Denver has, that we're always going to be a good team and always contending.
Yeah, I'm kind of gonna go out of order here. What is it like to play for head coach Dave Carl? Obviously, he's got an unbelievable resume. He's a Denver guy through and through. He's been there for all these years. You won the Natty. You guys beat Minnesota State 5-1. Won a Natty with him. What's it been like playing under Coach Carl?
Yeah, we're very fortunate. He's an unbelievable coach. Our whole coaching staff's really amazing through and through. But DC knows a lot about the game. He's a very personal guy. He connects with his players well. Like, he's easily approachable and personable. And I think it's just his nose for the game's second to none. And he's a younger guy. He kind of gets the new wave of the game, and he allows you to play out there. Like, you're going to make mistakes, and he knows, and he lets you be creative and try things in our team system. And so I think he's just got a good balance of everything, and knowing what it takes to win games.
Yeah, again, that year you guys won the national championship. I mean, it was unbelievable year. I got to watch, honestly, you guys won in Boston, so I got to go and watch. And Minnesota State had that goalie having an unbelievable year. He was the talk, right? Like, and you guys come in and put up 5 against them and won pretty convincingly. What was it about that team that was so special, and what was that celebration like after you guys won?
Yeah, I think everyone on that team, our belief was we could win the national championship. We had such a tight team, like on the ice, away from the rink. We all hung out together. Like, it was a pretty special team in that sense, where everyone was so close, and I think that helped us on the ice. But yeah, coming into it, we played Michigan, and all the talk was about all their first round picks and all their stuff and stuff like that. And once we got through them, it was Minnesota State, and everything happened so quick. And being in like the Boston arena with all the fans, and it was probably the coolest game I've ever played so far. But yeah, it speaks to everything we learned throughout the season, and coming together as a team, and just enjoying that experience.
Yeah, you mentioned being in Boston playing at the Garden. Your fans travel really well. Like, they were bumping in there. You guys had a good amount of fans travel to Boston. What is it like playing in that barn? It seems like Denver's, obviously you got the Avalanche, and you guys being as good as you are. What's it like playing in front of that fan base?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think it's just the tradition and culture at Denver.
Yeah.
Even our alumni are amazing. Like, guys who come through the program, they're always giving back to our team, and whenever you meet them around, they're always coming to say hi to you. And I think it's pretty special that once you played there, you're always a pioneer.
Yeah.
We had all the fans come out, and it makes it cool for us, even in our family section and stuff like that. They had this chance going right beside the bench, so it was cool. Once we won, it was a special moment to have the trophy. You're kind of taking photos with the fans behind the glass and stuff like that. So that made it really cool.
What would you say is aside from your home arena, the Garden, obviously, that you just mentioned you played in, what would you say is the craziest barn, whether it be the craziest, your favorite, aside from your home rink?
I think the craziest rink to play in is probably Western Michigan. I mean, they got the nickname the Lost and Lunatics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's always fun going in there. Even for warm up, they got the whole student section filled already, and they got photos of guys' girlfriends up, and they're all giving
Oh
them
man.
and stuff like that. So, like I said, like you don't really need a coffee or anything to get into that game because once you
Right.
still go for warm up, you're already juiced. So, that's probably my favorite rink to play in so far.
So, kind of going back, pivoting to this season specifically, you currently sit first in college hockey in points. You got 9 goals, 25 assists for 34 points. Your previous 2 years were unbelievable as well. 2021, 2022, in 39 games, you had 36 points. Um, and then last year it was 46 points in 38 games. What would you contribute most to your personal success? And then again, like what is it about the fit, right? You being in Denver's program that's been able to make you so successful.
Yeah, I think it helped coming into college a little bit older, and then coming in with DC and stuff, just putting me in a good spot where I was able to succeed. And I've played with some really good line mates over the years, and our teams had a lot of success, which obviously helps me be successful on the ice as well. So I think it's just been a good balance of playing with good guys and coming in and being confident, and the coaches allowing me to kind of play my game within the system and kind of do what I do best. And I've been pretty fortunate to be successful and have the team around me be pretty successful as well.
Yeah, another thing you mentioned, you had 10 freshmen coming in. Obviously, to play Division 1 hockey is unbelievable, for these freshmen, but most notably one that's been making a huge impact on your team is Zeev Bouillon. Freshman defenseman having an outstanding season. 5 goals, 22 assists. What's it been like seeing him and playing against him in practice and just kind of seeing the things that he does, on a day-to-day basis? And then obviously with him playing in the World Juniors, were you a little conflicted watching, the United States and obviously you being a BC guy?
Yeah, I mean, to start off, Zee's obviously a really special player. Coming in, like he's got his older brother here, Shy, who's also
Mhm.
another amazing defenseman. So, Zeev coming in, he came in really confident, really skilled, unbelievable with the puck, and his footwork is the best I've seen. So, I mean, guys coming out at the blue line, he makes you look silly out there.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool to see it. Then he's just so confident in games. He knows he's what he does well, and he showcases it every night. So that's been pretty special. In the World Juniors, it was him, DC, our equipment manager, and our hockey ops guy were all there for USA. So
Yeah.
I was definitely hoping they would do well. I mean, a well coached game, and Zeev have a couple points, but I was always
Yeah.
rooting for Canada to do well,
Right.
being a Canadian. But it was pretty cool that they were able to win gold, and it was cool for the program here as well to have those guys win it.
Yeah, and another guy on that team, your line mate, sorry, Jack Devine. Both of you guys sit within the top 10 in the NCAA in scoring. Talk to us about your chemistry with Jack and what makes you guys so successful as line mates.
Yeah, I mean, we're the same class. We came in freshman year together. We lived together in the summer. And then we just started playing together last year for the first time near the end of the year, and we kind of built instant chemistry. He's a really good player, really good person as well, away from the rink. So I think we connect well. He's got a really good nose for hockey. He knows a lot about the game, and he does what he does best. He puts himself in good positions to get the puck, put the puck in the net, and he's good moving around the ice. So I think we complement each other really well, and then also having McKay Webb starting our line, I think it
Yep.
just allows for a successful recipe.
And kind of in going back to, I want to talk about like your early days at Denver and even before that. With you being a BC kid, your recruiting process, you ultimately choose University of Denver, but what was the whole recruiting process like? Were there other schools that were like heavily in play? And then once you did decide to choose Denver, what was it specifically about, whether the city, the campus, the hockey program, what was specifically that drew you towards, Denver?
Yeah, being from BC, I mean, all the kids kind of grow up there, and being from Western Canada, it's all about the WHL, and
Mhm.
that's where most people want to go play. But for me, I toured a couple schools in my grade 10 year, Denver being one of them and stuff like that, and kind of got my eyes open to college hockey and thought it'd be the best route for me. So then I went through the BCHL and played close to home. And obviously, that league is progressing and getting better year
Yeah.
after year. And you're seeing guys come out of there and being really successful. So I think it's been pretty cool how they've been able to develop players and then going through that process, it was a little sticky. I was going to North Dakota originally,
Yeah.
and then I battled a couple big injuries coming out of junior hockey and stuff like that. So once the recruiting process kind of reopened and Denver was interested, it was kind of a no brainer for me to say yes. They were one of the schools I originally was like talking to as well, and so I was very fortunate that DC and Tavis and the coaches gave me an opportunity and then having that coaching staff, having the culture at Denver, the winning tradition, they develop hockey players and people, and the school is obviously really good as well. And Matt Char's our strength and conditioning coach, and he's been really good for me. Like we do really well in the gym as well. So it was just a combination of great athletics, great academics, the hockey culture and tradition, the coaching staff, and ultimately being on a team that's going to push each other every day in practice and want to win a national championship.
Yeah, in growing up and during this process, even playing before that, you mentioned the BCHL.
Mhm.
When was it that you realized that like you had a legitimate chance to play Division 1 and then ultimately get drafted? Like, was there a point in time where, you were playing in a season, then all of a sudden you kind of thought to yourself like, "Holy shit! Like, I really have a chance to take this somewhere."
Yeah, probably my second year at Bantam, I thought like we had a really good year. Was gonna play midget U18 at Burnaby Winter Club again with like Mako Bolkovic was our head coach, and he played at
Hmm.
Wisconsin, and so he knew what college hockey was like, and he knew that was a great experience for him and a good route for us. So that's kind of where he opened our eyes to that route of hockey. And for me, I thought things were going well hockey wise, and I was kind of getting recruited by different colleges and just talking to different people, and thought that would be an option for me. And I was pretty fortunate enough to have this opportunity.
Yeah. 2019, you were selected as the 216th pick to the Carolina Hurricanes. Man, what was it like to hear your name called? What was that day like? Obviously, to get drafted in the NHL is a huge honor, right? And the best of the best get drafted. What was that day like? What do you remember from that day?
Yeah, obviously, very special day. Every kid's dream growing up is to get drafted in the NHL, and to be fortunate enough to have that was really cool. So for me, I was home with my family, kind of watching the TV, waiting to see what was going to happen, and then getting the call from them that I was selected was kind of a dream come true. It was a pretty special moment having like my parents and my sister around me, because obviously you gotta attribute all of that success to
Yeah.
them as well. It took me to the rink growing up and helped with my hockey career. So it was a special moment for the family, but definitely a cool experience. But that's kind of the draft. Something you could take off the list now, but kind of the work begins after that. And
Right.
obviously, that's an amazing experience. But the goal is to play in the NHL and have a good career there.
What was the pre-draft process like? Like, did you go to the combine? Did you have to meet with? Were there certain teams you met with? Like I always like asking this question just because I want to if there's any like you hear those bizarre draft questions, right? That GMs ask or reps ask. Did you have any of those bizarre questions?
I don't have. It was so long ago for me, but I know there was a bunch of interviews kind of leading up to the draft. I don't remember any crazy questions too much. I mean, you kind of fill out different surveys, and there's like psychological surveys and stuff like that, and they'd always have some crazy weird questions, and you have no idea how to answer it if like you're
Right.
putting what you're putting is right or wrong. Um, but yeah, no, I don't remember anything too crazy. But yeah, there was kind of I never went to the combine. I was injured that year. I ended up having
Yeah.
surgery after that season, so I missed all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was just the interviews are also really cool. I mean, you're 17 years old and you're talking NHL GMs.
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And you're seeing the logos on their chest, and you're like, wow, like this is kind of really happening. This is really cool.
Uh, so you ultimately get drafted by, Carolina. Were there any other teams that you kind of like really thought like, hey, I have a chance to go to this team that, teams that made you feel really good during, the interview process? Was it a complete shock that you went to Carolina? Like, what did that whole thing look like?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I didn't really have a clue. It
Yeah.
was kind of up in the air. Um, so I was excited that Carolina selected me, but at the time, I didn't really think there's one team that I was like, okay, I'll probably go to these guys. It was kind of see what happens and and go from there.
So, are there any players in the NHL right now that you kind of try to emulate your game after? Like players that you kind of see a little bit of yourself in? Are there any of those guys in the league right now?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up at Burnaby Winter Club, and we had guys like Matt Barzal, who's only 4 years older than me, and like he was a family friend of ours, so he was always my favorite player growing up. And obviously, his next level is skating. His hands
Yeah.
and
Oh
his
my
vision
God, dude.
are unbelievable. And then
So fast.
yeah, you had guys like Ryan Nugent Hopkins was also a Burnaby Winter Club boy, so and he was a special guy with his vision and stuff like that. Growing up, Pavel Datsyuk was my favorite player. I mean, I'll go back and watch his highlights. I kind of liked him, but Braden Point, another smaller, faster, skilled guy. So just a
It,
combination of everybody.
it's so funny you bring up Datsuk because literally right before you got on, I was on TikTok and his shootout goal against Chicago where he kind of slid it back and it was like really delayed and he just flipped it over the goalie that just popped up.
Yeah,
And oh, dude, he was unbelievable. He was so fun to watch in his prime.
he was special. There's kind of
So
Bill
gross.
Keener and other skilled guys, but I feel like no one was really like him with the creative stuff that he was able to pull off.
Yeah, I think he was. I was watching another video too. I think he was some analyst or someone was trying to like said that he could get the puck from Datsuk, and Datsuk just made him look like an idiot for like 5 minutes straight.
Yeah.
Um, so this past year, you were involved in a trade that sent David Kasha to the Hurricanes. You get sent to Philly. How did you find out that news? Like, what was your initial reaction to that? Obviously, Philly was just in the news this past week with the Cutter Gauthier stuff.
Mhm.
Um, what was your initial reaction when all that went down?
Yeah, I got the phone call, and for me, it's super exciting. It's a good opportunity for me in Philly, and just talking with the staff in Philadelphia, like I'm super excited. The opportunity there, they've been really good to me. They got a bright future. They got a ton of good prospects, good picks. The team's doing amazing right now under John Tortorella. So I think for me, it's super exciting for the future with them, and it was obviously a really good opportunity, and I'm pretty glad that, unfortunate that that happened.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love what Keith Jones and Danny Briere. You mentioned John Tortorella. Like, I feel like they're a team that has gone way above and beyond expectations. You mentioned they have a lot of solid prospects that with a bright future.
Hmm.
Um, So, my last question, man, for kids growing up, obviously younger kids that are watching college hockey, watching the pros, what would be your biggest piece of advice, whether it be on ice things, off ice things that, little tips that you would give these kids if they want to take their game to the next level and, play in these play high level hockey?
Yeah, I think for me, I love the game. Growing up, I love the game as well. I always had the highlights recorded from the night before, and I'd wake up before school and I'd watch the highlights before I had to leave. And I was pretty fortunate enough that we threw a net in the basement. My parents kind of let me go nuts down there. I'd shooting pucks through the walls. My dad, we just redid the drywall 2 years ago and kind of changed it up. But before it was all carbon. I had the net and the windows were all barred off, and I'd kind of go down there every day and I'd stick handle with the golf ball or I'd shoot pucks. And so for me, it's just the love of the game and enjoying it and having fun with it. I never really felt like a chore. So I just say put in the extra work where you can, whether it's before or after practice, or if you have the opportunity, the ability to kind of do things away from the rink, whether it's stick handle or shoot, or just do whatever you can to elevate your game is what I would say.
So man, going back, there was one other thing I just remembered. You had gotten the opportunity to go to development camp, right?
Yeah, Yeah.
What was that experience like for you? Because I always like asking the kids that, go back, they're in college and then they get the opportunity to go to dev camp, to kind of see, what it's like to be a pro, right, for the week. And
Mhm.
what was that experience like for you? And what was your biggest takeaway, whether on ice things or off the ice things you learned?
Yeah, I mean, I missed the first couple in Carolina because of my injury, and then it was COVID. So
Yeah.
I just went the 2 years ago or whatever it was. But it was cool. You're obviously there with some really good players, and they kind of set that up as like a week for us to absorb as much information as we could. I mean, we had chefs, we had
Yeah.
psychologists, we had a bunch of kind of different seminars where we would take as much knowledge as we can and bring it back with us. So then the on ice stuff, we're kind of doing skills, but you pick up things from other players. Obviously, there's really good players there, and they kind of teach you what it's like to be a pro. And it's an everyday thing. It's not like you can work hard a couple of days a week. It's you got to bring it every day and try to get better every day. And that's kind of what it takes if you want to get to the next level.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, Massimo, man, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day. I know you're extremely busy with hockey, school, so I can't thank you enough for coming on Drop the Mitts and talking about your hockey career.
No
Um,
worries.
yeah, man, I wish you and the boys best of luck. You guys are so fun to watch. I'm here in Mass, and I always love every time I can catch a Denver game. You guys are so fun to watch. So man, can't thank you enough, and best of luck to you and the boys the rest of the year.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
Awesome.
thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thanks, man. That was Massimo Rizzo of University of Denver alternate captain. Unbelievable kid. If you guys ever get the opportunity to watch University of Denver, whether ESPN, it's on TV, definitely check them out. They're an absolute wagon. But yeah, that concludes today's episode. Episode 30 of Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast, brought to you in partnership with Primetime Production. I'm your host, Chris Davis. And everyone, you guys stay safe out there. Take care.